Well, hey there,
Hello,
everybody. Happy
hello.
Wednesday. We're excited that you joined us all. In case you haven't been here, I'll give you kind of a quick spiel and then we'll jump into any questions that we have. So this is our monthly Q&A, open for any questions, whether that is something inside of your own Keeper that you're having a little bit of clunks with or don't understand how it works, you're curious about a new feature, or you just want to be a fly on the wall and listen to other people's questions. All are welcome. But if you do have a question or have something you want to talk through with us, feel free to throw a Q in the chat just so we can keep track of everybody and make sure that we're kind of chugging through and everybody gets a chance. So with that being said, feel free to pop in and let us know if you have any questions. Hey, Deborah, go ahead.
Okay, I'm still confused on the keeper thing. Let me pull it up. I can tell you exactly what I'm talking about. I know I talked to Jody at the retreat last weekend. It was really fabulous meeting the two of you in 3D. Um, the thing at the bottom, where additional items versus tasks. I what when would I
Are you
use
talking about
additional?
the additional items section down at the very
Yes,
bottom of your
right.
clients?
Because I want to have a section called tax prep. I do all the books and my whole list of once done adjustments that the tax preparer might have made to book to tax as best I can. So that's a task I want to have because there's a laundry list of things. Make sure you get the tip credit and blah blah blah. So I thought, well, I'll put it down in that bottom section, and then Jody said, no, put it up in the task section and make it an annual task. So I kind of right now have it in both places because I did what you said, Jody, and copied my task. And I'm thinking, so what, the,
So those are just custom sections. You can make them as whatever you want, or you can delete them if you're not using them.
so what, well, I don't know what I would want to use them for because I don't know what they're for.
Yeah, let me actually help clarify
Okay.
here. So one of the way that it's currently set up, anything below non-closing tasks is going to refresh every month when you start the new close. And the non-closing section up at the top has different frequency where you can set bi-weekly or weekly tasks or annual tasks and stuff like that. So as far as it's currently set up, you can use either way. There's no like right or wrong here. But one thing you might consider is if this is an annual task and you want to set that frequency, it might make more sense to pop it up at the top in that non-closing because you can set that annual frequency and you don't have to put it otherwise. If you leave it in additional items, you can totally do that. Just leave yourself a little description or reminder, this needs to happen uh, on this date or something like that, because you won't be able to set it annually. It'll show up as a non-checked off task every single month. So that's just one pro and con there.
Okay, I think your explanation of when you said it refreshes every month.
Yeah.
So something down there, I don't know. I can't think of something that wouldn't be up in the top. They really have, in my opinion, have thought of everything that happens every month and all their above stuff. So yeah, down here, that like month end review, financial statement review. So I guess that's that stuff. So
Yeah,
that's
another thing that I've seen in this section, just to give you a bit of an example and get your brain kind of rolling on some ideas, are we've seen some clients that put a little reminder for their team to schedule their clients next session with them or something like that. That's a monthly task. That'd be an easy additional item that you could set up. That would make sense for it to refresh every month. So just wanted to throw a couple other ideas in to just kind of get the juices flowing.
okay. All right. That one line, I think, clarified everything for me.
Yeah.
Happy to
So
help. Yeah.
now that I'm looking at this, like, 0, 5. So are there five
A custom section. section, anything you want. And then you can add tasks to it, just like this one, where it essentially becomes like a checklist of items.
Okay. So like we prepare, that we call it the monthly packets where we have all the paperwork that we PDF together and send to the client. I could have that down here. I
Mhm.
put it up as a task, a recurring task.
Right. And I've got like year-end tasks built in here. And if I add this to my client, and then we pop back in, you're not going to see these in here because I had them set for last January.
Right.
But if I go ahead and set them for next January 1st or whenever, they're going to move over here to do later. And it's just going to hang out there until January comes around.
Okay.
So that would be one reason, or a reason why we would suggest putting them here in the non-closing tasks, is because that way they're out of view until it comes time for you to need to do them.
Okay.
If they're down here at the bottom, they're going to be at the bottom every single month.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. All right.
What do you have in your month-end review?
Sure. This is another checklist. So this does not pull in any reports from QBO or Xero. This is just a list of items that I may want to check in on at some point during the month-end close that I can't access through another report within Keeper.
Okay. Okay. I guess because I'm sure everybody else on the call has the same thing. So much of this is in my head, in that it's like, it's natural for me to do these things. I don't even think to write them down. It's like getting in the car, open the door, sit down, put the key in the ignition, put it in. It's just part of driving the car, so a lot of those things, it's like, okay, well, I never thought to write them down. So I think it would be a good thing, though. I don't know if I told you, I had a client one time, this was last month. He asked me about sales tax. And I had made a detailed list of exactly how I do his sales tax and put it into Keeper. Because all he sees is a piece of paper. He goes, well, how hard can this be? Oh, you want to see? I opened up my Keeper.
Here's all the things.
Here's the whole list. And it had links and the whole, this.
Mm-hmm.
And he goes, oh, that's how you do sales tax? I go, yeah, if you'd like to do it, you could do this. Oh, no. But so, it is kind of good for you to say, wow, I do a lot. I'm pretty good.
Well, and Deborah, I think that
Validation.
this is something that everybody kind of worries about as well, is like, it is a good amount of just like autopilot, right? Because you get used to what you're doing and it's kind of habitual. Where it really comes in is when that starts getting muddled, for like you start missing that payroll that's due every single Friday because everything else got hectic. That's where it really comes in handy. And when you start hiring on or start thinking about that
Right.
process and getting yourself prepped, then it's like, well, I can't pass on everything if it's not actually recorded. So even just doing an initial brain dump, and adding to a test client or something like that as you go through, any of that you do bit by bit can help, especially in the beginning, because it's unlikely that you're going to be able to catch everything all at once, right, in the initial brain dump. But being able to go back to it and add to it can help, because then you're going to catch those, oh, I do that. Actually, I need a task
Right.
for that. Or, oh, I totally forgot that I even do that. That's just kind of second nature. So totally understand that. I think a lot of people.
Well, that's
end up
how
in
I
the same
wrote this stuff down. When I would do each client's task, I actually was doing it, wrote it in Keeper, did it, wrote it in Keeper, did it, wrote it in Keeper. And it has been a real time saver because, I do a lot of sales tax, but everyone's slightly different, so where'd I get that report? I'd always have to go back and think, how did I do that last month? I don't have to do that now. I just have to go to my I mean, I have it, to go to this memorized report, export it, make these new columns, do the math. I mean, like, oh, I don't even have to think. I already did the thinking. Now it's just the doing. So the time savings to me was fabulous. Not to mention, a lot of times, I don't know about you, but I know, like, oh, I got to do that. Oh, I know I know my brain's going to hurt because it is a big thinking task. Well, now I took that away. My brain doesn't hurt anymore.
Exactly. It reduces the amount of mental capacity that it takes to
Yeah.
do the work. It's just, oh, I sit down and I do this task, and here's the stuff
This
that
is
I
it.
always
Check,
forget.
check, 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 check.
Exactly, which is so satisfying.
I don't know. Could I share? I shared with you. I don't know if, I mean, I got this from you, I think the last call, and have been using it. And it's that view in the task list where you put it in the properties.
Mhm.
And because the one thing that I was always concerned with was, okay, with sales tax, for example, I have 75 people and not everyone has sales tax. Am I going to make sure I hit all the ones with sales tax? And then I don't want to miss anybody. And then once they're done, well, I make sure they're done. And so I actually went to properties and, like you have payroll system. So I made one
Mhm.
for I made a lot of
For
date
sales
ones.
tax to keep track of it. Yeah. And
Sales tax date filed. I did for payroll. Next payroll run date. I used that. And I did, so I made views up. And even made one day of the week. So a lot of times people want to go, well, how do you know what to do every day? Well, you're on my Tuesday list. So I just can filter for Tuesdays, But anyway, that view here is really great because I can
yeah, it
switch back.
helps focus in on exactly what you need to look at instead of getting caught in everybody, especially after you have
Right.
multiple pages.
Right. Because on the
Exactly.
sales tax one I have, I can, I only check on, only people on the list are the clients that have sales tax.
Yeah.
So if you come in and add
exactly.
sales tax, add a new client, I just modify the
Check
list
it
to
off.
add you.
Yep, exactly. I love that example, Deborah. Casey has a question, so I'm going to pop
Yes.
over there, but we'll come back if you have another question. Casey, what you got today?
So we implemented it and we have like 60 or 70 clients now, and all the CPAs have kind of like taken it and run with it. The problem then is that they're all customizing it to their clients, which is great if it's helping them. But say there's like a section in the QC section that you guys have that's a great idea, and I want to maybe push that out to everybody, like, hey, there's a new template. I guess I don't understand how, when you apply templates, is it overriding? Is it appending? How do you control? What's the best approach for tackling that?
So I need to go back through and test, but we can go ahead and do that here today. Wrong button. Happy fingers. Let me go back. I believe so. Okay.
Go ahead.
I was just saying, in the past, you had to be extremely careful of how you overlapped your close templates. I think that has recently changed to where they're not erasing things anymore within the keeper sections. I know that's a little bit confusing, but we'll go ahead and do an example so that you can see. Let's see here. Okay, so we've got our various things. Go ahead and talk with what you were saying, Erica, while I set this up.
Yeah, ultimately add a base just to make sure we're getting kind of the theoretical, and then Jody will help kind of test and show you exactly what that looks like. To be honest, it depends on the section, and those are changing. But the report sections right now work a little bit differently than some of the other sections. So that's why Jody's going to test these out just to make sure that we're giving you the correct information on that, because the report sections end up being a little bit different or having different rules about them.
The ones that are tied to transactions are going to be different than like non-closing, pre-close, and the checklist.
Yeah.
Anything that's checklist. Exactly. So yeah, the ones that have, like she's saying, the keeper reports pulling in from your database. Those are the ones that in the past, if you had just set up the bottom section here and you left these blank, but in a previous close template, say your detailed review, you had instructions under each of those. If you put this one in first and then dropped in your QC, it would erase them because this one overwrote the other one. But let's test it out. So you know that I've already had my detailed review in my client, and now I've just added a few steps on quality control. So we're going to add this to the client. And this is a great live test of how these will overwrite. Okay. So now we can come in here. The first thing we'll be able to check is the keeper sections. They remained. So that's what's changed recently, is that these no longer overwrite to blank. So if you've got instructions in here, they are there. All the way down, you'll notice that my old template is still here, but it did drop in. It just layered on top the 3 new steps. So the answer to your question is, if they've already got things built out and all you want to do is build out a QC section for the bottom or wherever in the mix, then you can do that. You can just create a closed template, plug in your quality control that you want to apply to all your clients, and drop it in.
So if there's like a handful of steps that I'm on the operations side of things. So like, I'm like, I need to push this out. All of you need this step. I can do that from templates without messing up any of the unique work they've already set up for their clients.
Yeah, and then while you're talking your team through this new rollout, I would just mention, hey, as you're going through, you might have already added a task that's now duplicated. So as you're going through, feel free to delete any that are duplicates. You can do some of that so that you're not having to go in as the operations person for 70 plus clients. You can have each team member just do that quick double check at the very end as they're going through and checking out those new tasks at the bottom. Okay. Great question. Yeah. Lori, you had a question about, is there a way to sort tasks within a category? So just to make sure you're asking within, let's say, this quality control section, is there a way to organize or sort these? Double check and make sure that that's your question.
Yes.
Okay.
Like,
so
within each heading.
Yep. The only way to do it is manually right now. So you can grab it, just click on it and move it up or down. If I don't open it all the way. So you can just drag them around like this.
Okay. I was having trouble trying to do that even, so I'll try it again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it should be just like one click, and then you have to click and hold. If you just do a quick click, it's going to open it. So just click and hold, and you should be able to move it around there.
And one suggestion that I have, because I ran into this issue, is make sure that you're clicking kind of in the middle of the task where that blank space is. That way you're not getting into like editing mode or anything like that. So sometimes that can help. And I'll say, if all else fails, feel free to refresh the page. Sometimes there's an occasional glitch where it gets a little bit stuck or something like that. So those would be kind of our top tips, are make sure you're clicking and holding so you don't go into editing mode. Click kind of in that center so you're away from all of the other stuff, and then try to drag it around. If you're having any trouble, refresh the page. And if you're still having issues, that's a great suggestion or thing to mention down in the chat in the very, very bottom. Usually the team can go in on your back end and just double check what's going on and check for any bugs. So I would definitely recommend those as kind of my steps if I were trying that again for you.
Great, thank you both.
Taylor also had a good point. Templates, and sometimes with the account reconciliation, when you're kind of dropping things in, refreshing them there, sometimes it can rearrange what you originally had. I think that's just kind of like a little buggy thing that's in the background of Keeper. And we'll continue to let them, or we'll continue to give them that feedback. So hopefully that we can get a better control of how those lists come through, so you don't have to rearrange every time you come in for your month close. But the best thing to do when you're trying to apply new things or wondering how it's going to affect your clients is to test it out. So instead of dropping it into every single client the very first time, maybe you pick one or two, drop it in. That way you can go review them, see exactly how it's going to be applied. And then once you confirm that it's, yep, that's the way that I want it, you can then apply it to all the rest of your clients.
And then Teresa had a question about rearranging the task. So when you rearrange it, does it apply to all other users? I believe the answer is yes, but
question.
Jody, what's
That's a
your
great
thoughts on that?
question. Erica, do you want to log into your demo account and we'll test it out?
Yeah. Yeah, let's test this out.
Because I only see my view and I don't know if it changes yours. I know in other areas of Keeper, the answer is yes. So if you're on your client list and you change the columns, that will be applied to every user. Within a client, my guess is yes, but we're going to test it out here.
Yeah.
Because I do believe it's going to be client by client.
Yeah, exactly. I believe I have the same. Can you move one of the tasks just to double check as you're changing it?
I'm just going to rearrange the account reconciliation section to be in numerical order. If it'll let me. Here we go. So now if you refresh your page, does it show the same?
Yep, same on my page.
Okay. So the answer is yes. If you rearrange the tasks on your own, it will most likely rearrange the tasks. And of course, your sections here, if you rearrange the sections, that will affect every single client.
You can rearrange the sections?
Same, you click and hold, and then you can drag and move them around.
Oh.
That way, if
Cool.
you make custom sections, like we made a client specific custom section, every time you add one, it's going to be here at the bottom. And if I want that one to be at the top, I just click and hold and drag it up.
Can you copy tasks between? I really need the same thing with another client. Can you copy it from client to client or? Back to templates?
You cannot copy back to templates. I really wish we could. That would be extremely helpful.
Feedback.
Go ahead.
I could say we put that in the feedback because that seems like a really
Yeah.
good feedback.
Yes. I swear it was in here at one point where you could copy a non-closing task over. Maybe it's in.
You
But
might
now I'm
try
not
that in a
seeing.
close because I actually had that opposite in my brain. So neither of those might be right. But I might try on the close section and see if that gives you any different options.
Well, you can move from section to section within your close sections. So everything except for this one, you can move it from one to the other, but I have not seen where I can copy them to duplicate it to another client or pull from another client. The only time that I've seen that is when you're adding a new client. So if you add a new client, you can choose one of your other clients to copy.
Okay.
Or you can do it from a template, or you can bring them in blank and then you can apply a template at a later time.
I didn't even see that there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
and
this is I have a silly question. Okay, you know, we usually try to close out, I'm sure all of you do, by the 5th or the 10th of the month.
Mhm.
Well, the credit card cuts, you know, like
Mhm.
this month, September 28th.
Yeah.
Well, technically, you know, do I go back or I just do it in the month of September? I mean, that's when the card cuts, reconcile it. I go, well, I'm really kind of, I don't know. I mean, I used to get, okay, I should go back to August because the statement cut in August.
So
You know,
my best recommendation for something like this is it's going to be personal preference or a firm decision on how you want to handle that. But if it's partway through the month, and you're working to close by the 15th, and like I said, this one's here at 21st.
Yeah.
Well,
I used to go back and mark
I
it
would just check it off.
but I now
Um,
do it in the current month. I go, it's done and I did it in this month.
Yeah.
So this, even
So
though
you would check it off here on
Yeah.
September 21st.
right.
That I would do is that way you can have this complete
Yeah.
by
I
the
mean, the
time you are
financials are
closing
correct
it.
because the data is in there for the month
Mhm.
prior. But I'm
Yeah.
not reconciled it through, I don't know,
Yeah.
I just wondered what everybody, I guess we get all of us are a little OCD with this stuff. At least I am.
Yeah. My biggest tip is that when you're trying to close things out for the month, yeah, you just got to pick like which side of this am I gonna check it off for?
Right.
And because I know you don't really want to have it left open for the whole month just for this one task. And you're going to have all the information anyways below.
Yeah.
Of course, I don't have anything in here, but everything's going to be here because you've got it set for all dates. So if you're in an October close, but you have September dates in here, it's easy to clear them out during that close. You don't have to leave it open just to mark those. If you have outstanding, so say I have questions in here from July, probably. I even have some in here from May. The May close is complete. June close is complete. I'm already on August, but these aren't just swept under the rug. They stay here in the client portal until we get the answer. So you can have your month end close complete and your questions will remain at the top. I know I was talking to somebody before where there was some confusion about that. And they were having to go back every time the client answered a question. They'd have to go back to that previous close to mark it off. So that's another tip. Hopefully that wasn't confusing.
How far back does I mean, like I get clients in here all the time that, 3 years worth got to catch up. So we set it all up and I'd like everything to be dumped into here. And I'm not doing a month close, current. I'm catching them up from way back when. So
the way that I understand it is whatever the first close you have in there, the data will pull from that month forward. So if you create a previous close and you select 2020 and you want all of these to pull in, well, then it's going to start from January 2020 and pull in all the data from then until now.
Okay. So if I go, just so
if
I
you
understand,
open them all. Yeah.
So if I have one doing 20, 21, 22, and 20. So of course I set her up this month. I go back in here, create previous closes, mark in January of 20, check all those boxes. Now, I've uploaded all the bank feeds, all of that. So now I have all these, I don't know what it is. So ask client, ask client, ask client. It will go back. I will see back to January of 20 in that feed to be able to ask them.
Right. Now, if you only select this one, then it's just going to show you the January 2020. If you select all of these and you decide you're just going to work in the December one for the whole year of 2020, if you select all of them, then you're going to see everything from January to December. That's how I understand it. I don't have a demo account that goes back that far to really test it. But that is my understanding of like, when does the information start pulling over, and it has to do with the first close date.
I wonder if you put it, they have that, the app now, the Chrome extension. And if you use, so I'm looking at January of 20 and I put in there, ask client if it would show up here because I didn't pick up January of 20 close date. Follow me?
Yeah, I think it's just, we're gonna have to play around with it.
Yeah. But this is great. I tell you what, I mean, I used to Google every single item. I didn't know what it was.
Yeah.
I now ask the client, what's this? What's this? What's this? What's this? They can Google it.
Mm-hmm.
Want to
What's
make sure we're getting to everybody. Does anybody else have any questions or features that you'd like some more information on, or just like not sure how something works here inside Keeper?
What are you doing now? What is it we're looking at? This.
I'm testing Taylor's comment in the sections there. He mentioned that he thinks if you just pull in December, that it will pull the whole year. So I'm going to look to see if I have any way of checking that within my demo account.
So, but what were those drop downs I saw?
Oh, I'll go back in just a second.
Okay. I'm sorry to hog everything. You just got to tell me to be quiet.
No sweat. Jody, when you get done with this, let's pop back to show the drop downs, and then Kelsey has a question as well.
All right. I believe Taylor is correct here because all I did was open December 2022. And I've got transactions back to June, which is probably when this demo account started.
Okay.
So if you're doing a year at a time, you can just open up that December one, and it should pull in that 12 months. Thanks, Taylor. Okay, so you were asking what the drop downs were.
Yeah, on those different.
So if you've got your client list here and you just click on their name, it's going to open up whatever the current close you're in, whatever month you're in at the time. If you need to go back for any reason to see previous closes, you click on that little down arrow, and you can see all the history. So you could see everything. If I've got the default open, I could see, how many things were left undone or didn't get checked off.
You know how far back that goes? Is it just 12 months and it starts to drop off? Because
no, this says it can do 100 per page, so I think it's everything.
I
It's
just did
any
it with
closes
mine
that
with-
you have in there. Like that's
Yes,
a good
that's you- that's-
clarification,
that's-
because if you've only had one
Yes.
close in there, it'll only pull up one,
Exactly.
but it'll
It's
pull
what you've
any
created.
open existing closes. And Jody, while you're there, can you hover
Yeah.
over, like, just say the account reconciliation that's red at that very bottom? I just want to show people that you can look at those tasks and get a high level overview without going into the close.
It's not opening. Why? My internet might be going slow. Did this do it for you the other day when you were in here?
Yeah, it did. Actually, you can just do it on the current close just to give a visual
Yeah.
example.
So if you click on it, it'll tell you what's in that section right now.
Yeah, it's only in the current one. It doesn't go back. If you go back to like July, it won't open up.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, that's what mine's showing too.
Good clarification there, Deborah. Thanks.
Well, I only follow your lead, so.
Kelsey, I want to make sure you get seen and get a chance to ask
Yes.
your question. What you got?
Oops.
Hey, okay, so I have a quick question about the files.
Okay.
And I know Keeper was saying that they were working on this, but
Yes.
here's my situation of what I see and what I need help with. And maybe I'm just doing something wrong, but if I go to see, like if I ask a client a question that says, can you please upload your statement for your loan that you have, this, like your loan statement for this month?
Mm-hmm.
And they respond back, yes, here it is, and they attach the statement. I can see it like when I go to client info and then I go to files, I can see where it says like all, like if you have the little tab open for all, I can
Mhm.
see that they've uploaded these things. And I've tagged things, which makes it a little bit easier, but it's just not organized like to where I can see the
Yeah.
name of the file and to see more information on it. And then if I go to like where it says in the portal, then that has like a little bit more of like a folder system that I'm used to seeing, but they don't really upload a lot of things just randomly to their like client portal in the
Inbox.
upload inbox. Does that make sense?
It does. It does. And you're right. This is a section that they are actively working on. They are trying,
Okay.
they've been hearing everybody and they're listening and trying to make this more robust. In the
Okay.
meantime, you're right that in the portal, this is kind of where they dump things, or where they've attached things. So if you're in here, if you're in here with all, you have all of these options for what to do with your
Mhm.
files. And if you need to be able to, can I open it from here? Yeah. If you click on the name, you'll be able to see what it is. So if the naming convention is something wonky or just random, you can look at what it is and then go in and rename it.
Okay. When
Right
when
here
I
to
look at
help
mine
organize
is
it.
set up for the questions. Like when I have all,
Yeah.
instead of having a file name, I see like the question that I asked the client.
Okay.
And I don't see the file name. So this is kind of similar to what I see. Like it'll say,
Okay.
please upload your statements here, but like I have to
Yeah.
actually click on the file to find the file name.
Right. Okay. So let me find one that I've done. Client responded. That's what I want to see. So here you can see the W-9. Okay. You could upload that directly to the vendor if you wanted to, which we did. Let me see if I had the bank statements. I did not. Okay. Yeah, I think from here, I know you have a little bit more flexibility with your transaction questions. So the non-transaction ones, it may be easier to do it from the client information, because here we've got the actions list. So we could
Okay.
move it to, like, if it's a statement, you'd want to
Oh,
move
okay.
it to that task. And that's how you can get it to organize better within your file structure here. So we can test this out as well. So if I'm on all, you can see the type. So this is where it is. So right now, these are all in the uploads box.
Mhm.
These are attached to vendors. That's in the account reconciliation section. So if I come here and I want to move this, I can choose where I want to move it to. So even if I had like non-transaction questions, I can move it there. If they just dumped it into the folder and I want to get it attached to that. Let's see, January statement. I can go to my closing tasks. And since this is a bank statement, then I probably want it to be attached to one of my reconciliations. Right now, this one's at the top. So I could say move it here. So bank 2 is going to move to 1020 checking. I'm going to confirm that. Now, when I look, bank 2 is here. So it was up here in client uploads, but because I moved it to that task, it moves it down here. So you can see that's where this file structure really comes into play, is it's based off of the header of your section, then the task name or the account name, and then the year and which close month it was part of.
Okay.
Um,
That's helpful to understand how it attaches there.
yeah.
I can
Yeah.
see where they do the client uploads inbox. I see like, maybe 2 things that the clients have uploaded, nothing significant. But when I click on this fall view, this is where I'm not seeing the file name. I see the
This
question
one, the
instead of the
all.
file name.
Hmm.
Maybe I have my filter set wrong. So interesting. Okay. I'm going to mess with that a little
Yeah.
bit more because I see the client question still. I don't see the name of the actual file.
You can take a screenshot or stay on a little bit later and we can look at it together. the CY. Does anybody else see that too? Where it's the question instead of the file name? When you're looking at all. I'd be
I think
curious to
maybe
see.
your question really the detail? Because what I see on my screen is I have file name, type, close, detail, and that detail is the question that I ask. Is that what you mean?
Let me look. Let me check it out.
Yeah, because right now these, you can tell these are because they've been moved. So that's why mine might look a little different.
Yeah, mine
Okay.
says, can you upload blah, 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 month.
Here in the
Yes,
detail.
you're right, Teresa. You're right. Now I
Excellent.
do see where it has the file name over here now.
Okay, good,
And then I
good,
see the
good.
detail is the long question. I guess
Excellent.
just like visually, like looking at this is so hard to find when I've got like 100 different files that
Right.
are uploaded from my client. It drives me crazy.
So like I said, I know that they're working on it until updates come out to make it a little bit more user-friendly and more robust. Moving them around to specific places might be helpful.
Okay.
Something you could try. Something you could definitely
Yeah.
try. And then of
Thank
course,
you.
like, yeah, renaming things could help too.
Yeah.
Certainly. Right. Taylor, I'm guessing you said you did it up here in the transactions. Taylor says that he discovered the other day that he can search the files by the file type, like PDF in the file section. So you've got your search up here. So if I wanted to find a PDF, well, all of these are PDFs. Should be able to reset that. But if you know what you're looking for, if you have any idea of like what the file name might be, or maybe the question, you might be able to utilize the search feature, Kelsey, to help with some of that, trying to find specific things in a long list. Try different ways of searching. Thanks, Taylor.
I have a follow-up question on that.
Yeah.
For example, I have, before we had the ability of moving these files to, let's say, a bank closing, thank God that's an upgrade, because I'm more on it now than I was before. But my clients, they would either upload it to the non-transaction question that I asked, please give me your bank statement, or they would put it in that upload option where they can just do a drag and drop on their phone, and those kind of land in a separate area. So I've got like 20 files for a client that have got bank statements from all different months. I would love to be able to move them to those prior closes, but I don't see how I can. I'm trying it now, and I've opened up the close that I want, let's say May of 2023, and I have a May 2023 statement that I want to move to the May 2023 bank reconciliation line, and I can't. I come up blank. Yeah.
I see what you're trying to do.
Short
Right,
of
it's only
just, blowing them off and deleting them, because what drives me nuts is I see it in my client upload
yes.
thing, and it's
It
like
just hangs out. It hangs out here.
and hangs out there. It's like, go away.
Yes.
How do I tell it to go away?
Well, we'll pass on this feedback to be able to move those files to previous close tasks, or the sections there, to be able to have a little bit more flexibility with where they get placed instead of just the current open one.
Yeah. I mean, I know I have those statements attached in the reconciliation in QBO, so I know they're there.
Yeah.
But but it just,
But I can see it being very helpful, especially like if you are done with everything else and you want to move on to the next close. but
Right.
you know that like I can't go back and attach it to even last month's close. I can see where that can
Well,
get messy and frustrating. So
that and the
we'll see
fact
what we
that
can
if
do.
it were right, and if it were attached to that close, I don't have to go to QuickBooks to find that statement. I can still be in Keeper. So that's right now, you know, I don't know about everybody else, but I hate deleting bank statements. You know,
Yeah.
I got to throw them somewhere, but putting them in that client upload, like you've got 6 in there. My client's got 21.
Yeah, I could see how this easily can get overwhelming. I know that there is currently a request out there, a canning request, and we'll include it in our follow-up, but for being able to like clear this so that you don't constantly see the number growing, and it'll tell you like, you know, you've got X number of new ones, and then have a way of being able to kind of file them or archive them or something, so that they don't continue to pile up.
Because I don't quite understand on the actions. If you go ahead and click on that client uploads, you know, it's, you know, ask question, convert to non-closing task, move file, and then the one where the eyeball is, it says hide file from client. What is that, hiding it from me too, or are they just not seeing it on their side?
They're not going to see it on their side.
So I have to see it all the
time.
Okay. No thanks.
Currently, and like I said, like Jody said, we'll get the canny over to everybody. Those work on an upvote basis. So whatever gets the most upvote is most visible. So I'll make sure that that's in our follow-up, because you're totally right that especially as that number grows, and because you can't currently like mark it off or mark it reviewed or anything like that, that number just grows, but you also can't add that to a previous close. So we'll pass that feedback along and make sure that that canny request is visible to everybody as well. Great suggestion. Really appreciate that.
Yeah, because to me, when those things are sitting out there, that means they're not done, and I want them done. And if I can get them off of that view, then I know it's taken care of, out of sight, out of mind, and
right.
Yeah. Okay.
Right.
Got it. Thank you.
You're welcome.
No problem. Great question.
We got about 10 minutes left of our original allotted time. I'm always happy to stick around after that. If anybody wants one-on-one for a brief, you know, for a couple minutes. But do we have any other big questions or features? Okay. Want to show you some things that we've been playing with lately that I had learned when I initially got into Keeper, and then somewhere along the line, I forgot about it. And then I reminded myself recently of the ability to do it. And it really comes in handy. Let's see, what was I playing around with? I was playing around with attachments. Please open. There we go. Okay. When you're in any of these Keeper reports, what I like to call them, and you click on the down arrow, I always just got stuck on the historical transactions. Like, that's all I would look at. And it just slipped my mind that, oh yeah, I can come in here and I can look at all of the line items. If I have the attachment already, I can upload it here without having to push it somewhere else. And I can even send it over to QuickBooks right from here. If I needed to exclude it, I could do that. Oh, transfers are disabled for multiple items. But anyways, there's a whole like another menu of items that you can do transaction by transaction. So as you're going through and working through things, this is just a friendly reminder that you do have a lot of options for ways of updating this outside of just this primary line.
Do most people do the coding from the bank feed through Keeper, or do they do it within QuickBooks?
So if it's in the bank feed, you have to do it in QuickBooks. Keeper cannot pull anything that's on the bank feed. It has to be categorized before they can pull it. So it has to be categorized to something before they can pull it into the Keeper system.
Okay, so if I have 10 transactions in the feed that are not
Mhm.
in, they're just in the feed.
Right. You're not going to see them in Keeper.
Okay, all right. So if I just put them all to ask client, I could come into
Mhm.
here and do it from here. Can I do it in
Yes.
bulk?
Yes. Yep. If you were to select multiples, man, this thing's delayed today. Come on. All right. It's that time of day where my computer's like, no, we're not working. Okay. As soon as you select more than one item, or as soon as you select an item here to be able to select multiples of them, this bulk menu is what I call it, will pop up. So you could ask the same question on all of them. You can update the payee. You can change the description. You can change the account. Like all of these things are what you can do to all of the ones that are currently selected.
Okay,
So all of that's available there. And then when you're done, you can just click deselect and move on to the next set or the next grouping that you need. Taj asked if you could ask questions directly from the bank feed. And if you have the Chrome extension, this Keeper Chrome extension, then this allows you to add questions directly from QuickBooks. This Chrome extension kind of overlays onto QuickBooks, and it has like a little blue button that says Ask Client. So you can go ahead and put your question in, then add the transaction. And what that will do is it'll add that question directly to the portal as you categorize it. It just saves you time from like, okay, I'm going to go through the bank feed, push everything through, then come back into Keeper and go to my uncategorized or missing attachments or whatever it might be, and then ask the questions. It kind of takes that step out and kind of combines that together so that you can ask questions. Since I do have the Chrome extension open, you can notice that I'm not in QuickBooks, but I could ask a question, a non-transaction question from here, and that's from any page, any web page. If you've got the Chrome extension on and you are logged in, you can also look at client information, including their details, the notes. You can check out the files. All of that is here. You have access to that from any website. Oh, Taylor said we don't have this for Xero. Hopefully it will come soon. I know Xero is a little bit further behind the QuickBooks as far as integrations with Keeper, but they're getting there.
Judy, let's do
Yeah.
a quick demo of that last viewed in the client portal, since that's a new update as well. I just
Okay.
want everybody to have some visibility about that.
I'm going to do it from settings so we can look at all clients. So I come into settings and go to client portal. And I come over here to all contacts. I can do a quick check-in of all of my clients, all of my contacts, and see when was the last time they were inside their portal. So I was inside the demo portal on September 11th in the afternoon there. Erica has not accepted the invite yet.
Erica.
No. This is only because I deleted her and added her back in the other day. So yeah, that really comes in handy. While we're talking about what's been seen, if we are in a client and just going to their portal, my computer's not going as fast as my brain is today. Okay, you can see it here as well. So you've got your contacts. You can see that same thing there. So if you're at the client level, it's there. You also have under your messaging and your email history, there is a section here for, it would have a green checkbox just like that invite does if they've opened it.
And this is on any previous emails in case you didn't catch that. So now
Yes,
we can see
the
if clients
history.
have logged in, the last time clients have logged into the portal, and if they've opened any individual email messages that you've sent out, which just creates a whole lot more visibility on whether your clients are using the portal, whether they're logging in and not answering any questions, just to be able to help troubleshoot. This is a brand new thing that's been rolled out in Keeper. So we wanted to give you guys some visibility on that.
Yeah. I like the chat about QBO versus Xero. I will give a shout out to Xero that I talked with them today and got my demo account set up so that I can start playing around with the Keeper features within Xero and building out templates for Xero. So I'm excited about that. That's my new thing. That's about our time here. Again, if you need to stick around or want to stick around to ask an individual question, we'll hang out for a little while. But otherwise, thank you guys so much for joining us today. It's always a pleasure to talk about Keeper. I could do it for hours and hours. But yeah, if you guys need us, you can email us at any time. It's info@hughesandstrong.com. You're also welcome to text us. I'm actually going to put our information here in the chat. If you need anything, we're here to help. I think somebody had asked earlier if we're going to be having another webinar to help, especially new people, kind of understand what Keeper is capable of. And yes, we are planning on doing that coming up here, I think in October, which is in a couple of weeks, but maybe not the beginning of October, the end of October. Not during month-end close, don't worry. All right, thanks everybody.
Thank you.
Have a good rest of your week.